So you want to be a reloader? Awesome. Welcome to the club. It's fun. Rewarding. Nothing's more rewarding than cranking a handle and making your own ammo. Paying half the price as the people who refuse to do so. It's a great feeling. But there's a lot to know. And I'm getting a whole bunch of questions about the topic. So I want to try to help anybody and everybody that I can, especially now since all the tragedy that has taken place that the media is taking full advantage of, as well as our government, to see that they can make us as miserable as possible from now on. Oops, did I just be political? Yeah, maybe. Anyway, let's talk about what you're going to need for reloading. Obviously, you're going to need a reloader. Now, you don't need these reloaders. These are obviously a little overkill for a lot of people, including myself, I'll admit. But, you know, I chose to go that route, and, well, it is what it is. You can start with something simple like this, just a single stage press. You know, this is about 150 bucks. Just your standard RCBS Rock Chucker 4. I'm using it currently as a bullet puller, where when I make mistakes or something just bad happens to the shell, I can just pop it in here, run it up into this die, and I flip that actually this way, tighten it up, and pop, it pulls the bullet out of the shell, and I get to start over again. But you don't need that. You can start small, buy yourself some dies, and what you do, you'll put each die in one at a time, and you go through the single stage motion. It's a lot more time consuming, and that's not the way I started, although there are many that argue that's the right way to do it. I wasn't of that belief. A lot of people that I know are running progressive presses, and luckily they were kind enough to help me, especially AZ Papa Less and OBXL Wind, both huge help. Can't forget the Low Buck Prepper as well. He's the one who was here one day all the way from Tucson, Arizona to help me up, setting it up and doing some of the first reloading I ever had on it. Anyway, so what you're going to need is a press. They range from 300, well, progressive presses, all like 250 all the way up to, these are $2,000 presses. So they do all sorts of different things. I'm not really going to get into those. I have some videos describing the two machines I'm familiar with, the 650 and the 1050. I will say his name again, OBXL Wind. I will put his business down in the description box, a link to his site, as well as another link to AZ Papa Less, who is also a plethora of knowledge. Sorry, Toad, I'm using your signature finger. Go check out Toad. He doesn't know how to reload yet, but he's getting there. I'm just kidding, brother. So anyway, let the journey begin. I have a list of questions that I seem to have misplaced. Here we go. Alright, this is for my boy out in Huntington Beach. You know who you are. He asked me a number of questions that others have as well, and he's talking about how and where to find the cheapest reloading supplies, like your primers and your powders and your cases and your bullets. I have a couple bullets. I buy them mostly from the gun show. The gun shows guys are, you can get them in boxes, but the gun show guys typically are in such competition with one another, outbidding one another for the best prices, that it's actually still, where I live, a pretty decent place to get your equipment as well as your supplies. For instance, when I go to the gun show, like here's a 1,000 primers, $30. which is a little expensive. When I buy a case of them, 5,000 of them, it's like 120. So you save a little there. The universal clays that I use for reloading pistol, I use this for 9mm and 45 cal ACP, $24 roughly. I bought it at the gun show, 8-pound jugs of it for $120, so do the math. Good savings there. The brass I get, all free. I don't pay for brass. And the bullets I don't buy at the gun show because they're just so damn heavy. I don't like toting them around. Another thing that is kind of important, try to find things like this local if you can, and go drive to get them, because typically you'll pay an extra bit on shipping as well as a hazmat fee that just adds up. So it's unnecessary. If you have a place near you, go get it. And I would, if you can afford it, buy in bulk. It's the way to go. Definitely less expensive. I will say this, when you're setting up your dies, although I like the Dillon carbide stuff, and I do like the fancy schmancy, multimeter, or micrometer rather, bullet seeder, I will say it's not necessary. You don't need to buy really super expensive dies to get this job done. You can buy a pair of Lee's or RCBS or Hornady dies, and they are very inexpensive considering these Dillon things. They feed you the blue Kool-Aid and you end up saying, it's okay, I'll pay twice as much. In their defense though, they are carbide and they're much tougher. So I've come to notice anyway. Right, so moving along. Let's see. As far as other things you're going to need, let's take a walk over this way. You're going to need some of this stuff. First, you're going to need a hot chick in a pink dress to make sure that your reloading experience is going as planned. Or something of the like. You're going to need a tumbler. Tumbler are not specifically an expensive item, but can get expensive depending on what you buy. When was the last time you saw one of those? Wow, loser. Anyway, so this is a Lyman Turbo, I think it's called, 2100. It's a very quiet, really quiet tumbler. It also, on the inside, has kind of a subsection where you can pull this plug and it will drain the tumbler of the media, just leaving your brass there. It takes a long ass time and it's not worth it. It's easier just to use a media separator, which is the next thing that we're going to look at. This is one that I got from Dillon. It was like 40 bucks. Oh, I forgot to say. This was, I think, $70. I think I bought it on Amazon. I like the Lyman. I've had another one. I can't think of the name. It started with an F. Like Forester or something like that. I can't remember. It was the same price, but it was blue and it was stupid loud. Had a gray lid on it. It was ridiculous loud. I have since given it to a friend. Hopefully it's not giving him the same headache it gave me. So anyway, that one was the same price. So I like the Lyman one, just my opinion. And no, I don't work for them, or no, they're not paying me. Oh yeah, so Dillon media separator. This will hold about 509mm cases. It'll hold about 300, well, maybe 250 223 cases. And basically what you do, if you're not familiar, when you pour the media and the cases after they're done cleaning into this thing, and you just spin it like this, and what happens is, eventually, after a few minutes, all the cases empty themselves of this media stuff, which is another thing you're going to need. And I like this stuff. It's called Tough Nut. It's made by Lyman. I really don't know what it's made of, but it works really well. I'm not too particularly keen on pure walnut. It doesn't really scrub well enough. Neither does corn cob, but somehow whatever they make this stuff out of, it works about 2 times better. It's a little more expensive, but for the same price that I use this stuff for, OBX Soul Wind, again, description box, check his link out, made a suggestion that you purchase blasting media, sandblasting media, walnut, for, I think he said you could get it for like 30 bucks for a 20-pound bag. This stuff comes in a thing that's like a gallon-sized jug. It's only like maybe 5 or 6 pounds, so yeah, that's another way to get around a cost thing there. What else are you going to need? You're going to need some tools. Obviously, you're going to need some tools to do whatever work you need on the presses. You're going to need a wrench. You're going to need pliers and whatnot to dial in and take apart your stuff. Some Allen wrenches, maybe some screwdrivers. I think that's all pretty general stuff. Everybody's got that kind of thing. Another thing you're going to want to have is a fairly decent and accurate micrometer. This one I purchased on eBay, or not eBay, pardon me, on whatchamacallit, Amazon.com for, I think it was like $29 or $23, something like that. It's a nice digital micrometer. You can go from millimeters to inches. Works great. You're going to use that for doing your cases and your bullet overall length to make sure everything is correct with the geometry of your loads. Another thing you're going to need, scale, to make sure your powder measure is putting out enough or not too much powder. Or if you're doing the single press thing, you will be measuring single hits of powder, and then you'll pour them into the case manually. So those there, I think the scale was $100, but you can get a decent scale for under 20. The kind of scale that you add the weights and whatnot and the slide, kind of like the old thing you had to use in chemistry class way back when. What else do we need? I'm sure I'm going to forget some things, and hoping you guys will call me out on it, and I'll have to do another video, which is perfectly fine. I'll be happy to do it. Oh yeah, here you go. Let me just look in my toolbox here, and that'll let us know what we're missing. Spare parts. It's always good to have some spare parts for your reloader. Maybe a restoration kit and just lubrication kind of stuff. Oh, that reminds me, if you're going to be doing rifle, you're going to need a case gauge. And case gauge just checks the geometry of your sized cases to make sure they're the correct size and the length isn't too much and everything's simpatico there. That's about $35, between 30 and 35 bucks, depending where you get them. Oh, you're also going to need at least one primer tube for the size of primer that you're going to be working with. There's large and small primers, so these are $1.50 a piece. I don't have one because I use a automatic primer pipe filler, but there's also a round, what they call a flip tray that you set all your primers out on, and you kind of shake it back and forth and then flip it over and then pick up all the primers, and then what you do with that is you drop them inside your primer magazine there. Again, if you're not using a progressive press, you're using a single stage press, then you're not going to need that. You can just pick up a primer and set it on the case, I believe, and then run it. I really don't know actually how these guys work. I've never used one other than to pull bullets with it. Let's see what else is on the list here. As far as the 1050 being the Cadillac of all reloaders, I wouldn't call it a Cadillac, I'd call it a Caterpillar. It's not a luxurious animal at all. Takes a little more strength to use. There's a little more going on. but at the same time, it will go and go and go and go and go forever and ever and ever. They don't break. Nothing goes wrong with these. Well, that's kind of a biased thing to say, and maybe perhaps even a little sarcastic. They will go as long as you take care of them. They're tough machines. They're kind of like the bulldozer of the reloader. The little brother, the 650, would be the Cadillac, really, I think, in my eyes. I hope that kind of reaches a few people that have made comments to that effect. The reason, again, that I chose these two 1050s mainly comes down to one station right here. That swaging station. When you come down with it and imagine a case on the inside of that, when that swager bob comes up and hits one of these funny looking small primered 45 cases that I come across occasionally, these are the death of me. I hate these damn things. That little swager keeps me from trying to load a large primer in it. So I call it an expensive fail-safe, but it's definitely worth it for me. Oh, another thing you're going to need that I don't have out in front of me, but kind of one or all the same. RCBS makes one. You're going to need a case trimmer if you're going to be doing some rifle. If you're going to be doing any kind of rifle that you want to be precision or kind of match grade, nice 40 cal in there. Oops. You're going to need a case trimmer for certain, especially when you go and use that case gauge, and you'll have a little bit of the case popping up, a little bit long on the neck of the case. You're going to have to trim that down. So a case gauge would be a good thing to have, but or a case trimmer, pardon me, would be a good thing to have, but you don't have to have one. You just don't use the brass that's overly long. So trying to think what else. Scale reference. Oh, all right. Another thing you're going to need: books. You're going to need books. Books. You need at least 2 books. 3 is even better. I have 2 here, and actually there's one upstairs in my office. But this is my favorite book right here, Hornady Handbook of Cartridge Loading. This is the better of the books I've seen. Just basic information on the dimensions of bullets. So, like here's a 223 Remington, and they just kind of discuss the geometry of the bullet per the weight, the different powders that you're going to be using, and then the expected velocities using how many grains of powder. And it'll also show you a little bit about the cases, like what you can expect the actual case geometry to look like. That's important to know. So definitely you're going to need a reloading book. It's not very necessary, actually. You can get the data off of different websites. I just like having a book just because it's easy to have right handy with you, but you can certainly print it off. And then the other book I have is a Lyman Reloading Handbook. I think this is still the most current version, the 49th version. Same deal. Different reloading data. Let me see if I earmarked a couple of these pages. Let's see here. So here's the 223 Remington, their version of the stuff. They give you a nice dissertation on what it's used for and all of the this and that's, and then they go into the different sizes of bullets and then all the data you need to know regarding it. So yeah, you're going to want a couple of these, I guess, if you're going to be serious and want to have your easy reference out in your shop or wherever you're going to be doing your reloading. You'll definitely want some of those. And then I'll tell you one thing I did. There's my trimmer. I thought it was in somewhere else, but yeah. So it's a case trimmer, just a little thing, spring loaded, holds the bullet, and you just crank a wheel, and it's got a little blade that chomps at the neck. Just chomp, 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 chomp. Yep, just like that. And sizes up the case for you. Anyway, going back to this, one thing that I did for myself was made these data sheets with an Excel spreadsheet. I'll get that up on my website if you're interested. I also have another spreadsheet on my website that's a calculator that will calculate how many cents you're paying per round of ammunition based on all these different things, based on your powder and your primer cost, based on your bullet cost, even the case cost if you're paying for your cases. And you can also add in the amount that you paid for your reloading setup for any given caliber, and the spreadsheet will calculate how many cents per round you're paying and how many thousand rounds it would take for you to pay for your machine. Another thing that does is you can enter in the amount of money, for instance, that 1,000 rounds of whatever ammunition would cost, and you can kind of weigh against that to see how much more savings you're getting from reloading your own as compared to having to go and buy it. And that also calculates into how much savings you're getting and how quickly you'll pay for your reloader. This reloader as is, well, let's use this one. This reloader as is, set for 45, I think I calculated would take me 21,800 rounds in order to pay for it in the savings I've achieved using it for loading 45. Now, in the last 6 months or so, I think that figure's probably changed. It'll probably be less rounds, but I think I probably put about 10,000 or 15,000 through this already, so we're almost break even now. So yeah, anyway, back to this spreadsheet. This is just a little thing that I like to have that I put in each of my ammo boxes. When I'm finished doing a run, I'll just do general information on the loads, the bullet type, how many grains the bullet is, the powder type, how many grains of that. If I pull the cases out and only go with one manufacturer case, I'll note that. And then just a little bit of geometry here, the crimp width and the overall length. And then if I do use a chronometer, you know what I mean, chronograph, I guess would be a better word, chronometer or chronograph, one of the two. I'll also add that as well, and then any kind of notes. I had a spreadsheet where I set up 4 of these on the piece of paper and then just print it out, cut it 4 ways across the middle and then across the widthwise, and I just had my central services department at the place I work just glue them up for me so they're nice little pads. So that's one thing you can do. I'll put that spreadsheet up on my website. That's just go to, it's not even populated, so don't be disappointed when you get there. Just click on the download link up in the top left. That's SoCalPreppers.com. And I hope this helps. I wish everybody a lot of luck getting supplies to reload. I think that's the next big scare. And I'm actually wondering if they're doing this to us on purpose, just to freak us all out and to perhaps stimulate the economy. I don't know. I could speculate for hours on that, but anyway, hope this helps. Again, use your local areas to pick up your supplies so you don't have to pay hazmat fees and buy in bulk, and try to get free stuff. Cases especially. If you go to the range, try to swoop some. Or ask them if you can come by and pick them up. Most cases they won't let you, but you can always ask. And yeah, let me know if you guys have more questions. I'm more than happy to answer these questions. I enjoy this hobby, and I'd like to get as many people into it as I can. It's a lot of fun. So hope this helps everybody. Mr. HB, take it easy, man. Thanks for inspiring me with this video. That's all. Let me know. Take it easy, guys. Happy reloading.